Asher,
Shano,
Mitzvotov, Banu,
La'asok, Divrei Torah.
Torah.
Amen.
I'm going to just sit here and kvel, okay? And you guys can go ahead and do whatever you want for the hour, but I'm just, I made a mistake last night. I asked Cindy, so how was your new granddaughter? And then I had to stand there for an hour. Such good stuff, such marvel. Cindy, when you said that you get to see her every day, I was so jealous. I mean, that is, wow, what a privilege.
She doesn't do a lot.
Right, really?
Doesn't have to. She's a newborn. That's what we kvel about, the blessed born.
Lots of, okay, now we're going to start off just because if I don't get started working soon, Effie will attack me. So the calendar is a simple one. I want to mention to those of you who might not have picked up on it, due to several people agitating, we are going to continue with the current events class, even though the regular, we've been alternating with Susan Annis and so forth. Hers is stopping, but we're going to go ahead with current events. Proposed June 28th was supposed to be the last day. We are adding July 12, 26, and August 9. Those are 2 weeks apart, just like it is now, 12, 26, and 9. And if folks are available and if we get an attendance, then, we could add another couple of events. But anyhow, that's our experiment. And then I was contacted to ask whether we are continuing with our Chevra Torah during the summer. And I was all ready to launch into the study of Torah never ends. How can you ask that question? But apparently it has to do with getting our Zoom account extended through the summer. And we did that. So we're cool. And we will, of course, continue. Some of you were not there, but one of my fondest memories is when University Synagogue had a security threat. And Cindy's remembering.
Sidewalk Torah study.
We came to the building for Shabbos morning in those days, and the place was filled with dogs and police and all kinds of stuff, and they wouldn't allow us in. And so, what was the option? We conducted Chevra Torah on the sidewalk outside of the building. That remains as a very special statement about the importance of Torah study. Okay, and then to mention that tomorrow is Father's Day, and yesterday I was catching the news. I don't know why I was doing that, and it provided a survey. What do you think is more important in America, Mother's Day or Father's Day?
Mother's Day, of course.
Mother's Day.
The same.
Mother's Day trumped Father's Day 7:30 or something like that. Father's Day came in second only because there wasn't any other competition. It would have come in later if there had been more competition. But no matter what, Father's Day is still coming. Cindy, I know that Sisterhood had a really great tea. What's going on with Sisterhood?
We have nothing this coming week, but the week after, Susie is chair of 2 events. So Susie, you want to talk about?
I do. On the last Friday of this month, I'm not sure of what the date is. We are going to meet at 6 o'clock, as we always do on the last Friday of the month, unless we hear otherwise, at Froman's. They're expecting us with all the goodies. They'll have a challah, they'll have wine glasses, and we'll bring our good spirits and our happiness for Shabbat. And please, everybody, if you're not busy, if you're not going to synagogue, it's a wonderful way to celebrate. Then on the 27th of this month, for the ladies of WOW, the ladies of Sisterhood, the ladies of the combination, we are going to the Karsh Center in Koreatown to meet with the ladies that staff Karsh to learn all about it. If you're saying, well, what's Karsh? What is it? Come with us. It's the volunteer group that will be coming to a branch of it will be coming to the resident campus as soon as the resident campus is ready. It's where we do volunteer work. It's where we make lunches. It's where we do all kinds of things. And you're welcome to meet us. It will be, as I said, on the 27th of June, and we're meeting at noontime, 12 noon for a tour, and then we'll choose a place to have lunch out there.
Yeah, I've eaten at some of the restaurants around the Koreatown campus. There's some really great Korean and Chinese food there, but forget that I mentioned that.
Susie, are we gonna have, I'm sorry, Rabbi, are we gonna carpool down there, Susie? How are we gonna do this?
Yes, we are. We're going to carpool. I will send you an email where we're going to meet to carpool.
Okay, good, thank you.
Let me just say to Sisterhood, but just as a point, you had this incredible tea and you had this wonderful celebration of self, and then you turn around and have a celebration of service to the community. I think that's really great balance. I think that's excellent. Is Jim Ruxin in? There's too many people here. I have two screens.
Yeah.
Risa, I need another monitor for the other screen. Is Jim here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Jim, what's up?
This coming Thursday, the 22nd, we're going to have our second Thursday evening film discussion, 7:30, the usual time, and you can sign in on the temple website. I will send out an email to everybody regarding the film White Tiger. It's an Eastern Indian crime story, sort of like a mafia story, but it's very rich about a boy from the country who is very unsophisticated and rises in the trust of the crime family, and ultimately comes to a choice he has to make in his life and the life of the people around him. It also is very much about the immigrant experience, because there's a woman figure in it who's an American-born Indian woman who is betrothed to the leadership son in the crime family, and that comes to a conflict of cultures as well. There is some violence in it, but it's all for a purpose, and it really leads to a question about where do we go in this world when we engage in commerce, and how do we treat other people. And it's also, if this interests anybody, it's directed by the same man who did 99 Homes and The Man Who Sold His Skin. So this guy is really multifaceted, and you will not believe how different each of these films are from each other. So that's this Thursday. White Tiger streams on Amazon.
Okay, I saw the movie previously, and it's a great movie. It's really, really, really very good. Okay, just to check in, and then we got to get to work. Anything happening that you'd like to share with the community? Going once? Going twice? Are you happy being here too? I'm happy. Okay. I must have been drinking last night while I was sleeping. We're going to do something which, frankly, I've never done before. I want to drill down into a very familiar text, a text that I have read 100 times or more, and I've never seriously drilled down. In Plout, page 980, Numbers 13, we're going to jump a little bit here. Numbers 13, verses 17 through 20 as a beginning. You start there. What Tamara is on, Tamara, you're not telling people this, but I hear you have to flee the country. Is that true? Are you there, Tamara? I have to look at another screen. She was there a minute ago. There you are. Tamara, you have to flee the country. You're running to Germany. What's the story? Let us know just for a moment. What's happening?
What?
You're running to Berlin. I know that. So
Well, I'm going to Berlin, yes. Going to, not running from.
okay. And this will be some academic stuff too?
Yes, I get to see colleagues, friends who teach at the Geiger College there a little bit, and visit my favorite places from the past, which includes the Ishtar Gate from Babylon, which was built by Nebuchadnezzar, who destroyed the temple, but built this amazing temple that just makes your jaw drop. Even now, to just look at it, it's like 60 feet high, glazed, beautiful brick. So I'm going to see that again, to my pilgrimage.
Beautiful.
That's great. That is great.
Travel safe.
Do
So
you need a chaperone?
trip and come back safely. Okay. We know the story, okay? We do know the story. We know the story. We tell the story sometimes inappropriately by calling the 12 people who went to spy out the land spies. And right off the bat to say they weren't spies. Whatever else they were, if you're going to send a group of spies into a country to see how you can invade it, you probably won't send a group of 12 with, a vast accompaniment or whatever it took to get them there. So the Plaut commentary properly points out they were emissaries, they were people that were sent in. To call them spies, it would have been Mossad would not have sent a group of 12 together collectively, probably staying in a kind of a middle range hotel together. No. So whatever else they weren't spies, and we call them spies. So it starts off verse 17. Moses sent them to scout out the land of Canaan. I love the word scout out as a translation. Why? Donna, why? You're nodding your head. Why? Why is scout a translation that is sort of strange here?
Well,
the Hebrew.
why is it strange?
What is the Hebrew?
It's sort of to, I think it means to like tour, to
Yes.
check it out,
Yeah.
like tourists.
Yeah, the Hebrew doesn't say to scout out the land. You picture these people skulking around in black suits and hats and capes and stuff like this. The Hebrew is latour, and it whatever it is, they're going to go around the country.
You see the sights.
It's far less sinister when you look at the Hebrew than when you look at the English. Moses sent them to scout out the land of Canaan, and he said, go there to the Negev and then to the hill country. The rabbis ask, why did Moses send them to the Negev first? The rabbis never ask a question to which they don't have an answer. Do you know why they sent them to the Negev first? Well, if you're going to try to peddle a whole variety of good things, you don't put the best things out first, right? You have this, it's nice, it's costume jewelry, it's very, very good. That works beautifully. So Moses said, go look at the Negev first. It's not necessarily the most beautiful, green, rich, whatever. And then you'll go up to the hill country. Then you will see the beauty and the power of the country. And now let's get into this. See what kind of a country it is. And the people.
Rabbi,
Strong, weak, few, many. And is the land good, bad? Towns open, fortified, soil rich, poor, wooded or not? And bring back some of the fruit. It's, you know, you're going to Whole Foods. If you're going to go to Whole Foods, bring back some good stuff. So bring back grapes. Now, by the way, the image that they will have later of the emissaries bringing back a huge cluster of grapes suspended, on a stick, which is now the emblem of the Israeli tourist industry. What are the odds that you can take a huge cluster of grapes, spread it on a stick like that, and carry it for miles through hot desert and come back with something that anyone's going to want to look at? Nevertheless, that's the story. Fine. The point is, it's a rich land. A rich land. This is the introduction. This is what Moses told the group to do.
Rabbi,
Sir, Steve.
how did Moses know to even give this instruction? He was born in Egypt. Everybody with him for hundreds of years, anyone they'd have been in contact with were in Egypt. How did he have any knowledge of what the terrain, where the city, anything in Israel?
You know, Steve, with all due respect, and I do respect you, sometimes your questions amaze me. You've never heard of National Geographic? You can just look and
Exactly. These were slaves.
Oh,
They couldn't afford a subscription.
okay. Okay. So it doesn't work unless it's written afterwards, right? Unless the story is constructed more fully at a different time. Yes, you're right. Theoretically, you're right. You can also say that, maybe they had Bedouin trackers. I don't know. But okay, fine. Effie?
God told him.
Okay. We actually, to that particular point, we don't know that. God was not altogether in favor of sending out these people. The idea of sending the people into the land to see it was really done more to control the people's anxiety than it was to plot a military takeover. Does that make sense to you? That the big problem, remember, they're in the desert. They actually are still at the beginning of the wandering, and there isn't a 40-year wandering yet. These people are being sent in, and what does Moses, and this is going to be key to our discussion today, what does Moses want from the group of 12? What does he want?
Information.
More than information. He wants affirmation. He wants, folks, this is worth doing. The land is good. Sending people in, bringing back the report. That's what Moses needed. He didn't need a battle plan. So they were sent. By the way, the 12 are who? Who are the 12 emissaries? Who are these?
Chieftains of each tribe.
Yeah, these were, if you will, part of the political elite, okay? They would have credibility to the others. And so these credible leaders were sent into the land with one purpose: bring back a good report so that the people can relax. It's worth the effort. Okay, I see Herman. Yes, and I see Mara. Okay, Herman, Mara.
If God picked this land for the people, why is there any doubt whatsoever? Why do we even need spies? God is not going to send the people into a land that is not good. God is not going to send people into a land that is not productive. God is going to take care of his people. He has already told them that. Why is this necessary?
Okay. I'm going to respond very briefly by sharing with you something which everyone here already knows: my profound cynicism about the wisdom of the masses. Herman, you have to tell the people and tell the people and tell the people, and do not assume what you just assumed, that, oh, we heard it once, we got it, let's move forward. That's not how the political process works. With all due respect, you tell them, and then you tell them, and then you tell them. Moses was getting the people ready to survive the journey and to really want to get into that land. And the people were restive and not easy and challenging, and they didn't like the food, they didn't like the water, they didn't like anything. And Moses was going to come back, guys, you 12, they were all men, come back with a positive view. This is what we're doing. Mara.
So they're told to determine whether the people are strong or weak, few or many, whether the land is good or bad. Those are all binary choices. And by setting up binary choices, the true nature of the land isn't going to be determined by the scouts. And it seems that those binary choices actually force most of the scouts to determine that the land is not good, that the people are not small, that the people are many. I'm not sure how to deal with that.
Okay, let me just offer a mild challenge. First of all, they all come back with the statement that the land is very good. All 12 come back saying the land is very good. The 10 offer but the people are giants, terrifying, and we can't conquer them. The 2 come back with the land is very good, the people are giants, but we can conquer them. So it's the evaluation of the people, not of the land, on which the scouts will differ. Secondly, I don't think that Moses in this story really presented a binary choice. I think he sent the scouts, I'm going to say spies, the scouts out to bring back a positive report. That's really what their job was. You know, why would Moses send them in with the possibility that they would come back with a negative, let's run back to Egypt? That would be an absolute defeat of whatever it was that Moses saw as his mission.
But it does ask us to think in binary ways.
Yes,
it sets that model up for us as a Jewish people.
That is yes. That is yes. And I think we've all learned in this 21st century that the equation binary equals bad is pretty clear. You got to give people more than that. But the purpose of the mission wasn't an objective search. Bring back a good message to get this people up so they can go in. That's what Moses was interested in. This is when I started off, Mara, by saying drilling down. This is for me, the drilling down. This is for me. I had read it, and kind of surface read it, made sense, did it. And today, I'm just trying to do more than just read what the surface says. I can't imagine a leader bringing the people out of Egypt, crossing the sea, getting into the desert, eating that ridiculous manna, whatever else that they're doing, that Moses was really objectively saying, hey guys, go in there, figure out whether this is all worth the price. I don't believe that. It was come back and, smile, be exuberant. Hey, it won't be easy. It's worth the price. I think that's what Moses was really after. And it's going to get, I have a really good point in my notes ready for near the end of the class, is going to be the purpose for all of this. Okay, I see Eric, I see Howard. Eric? You're
Didn't they come in with prejudices in their own minds? They didn't have an objective view of what's happening. Also, like people on the autistic spectrum, level 1, they see things differently than regular people, and they have their own their own prejudice and own cloudiness when they look in the land.
I want to thank you for that, because that is the purpose of this whole hour. What you just said is the purpose.
Yeah, because autistic people look at the world differently than the neurotypicals. I'm on the spectrum myself. I see things differently than the ordinary guy.
And I will suggest to you, Eric, that every one of us on this Zoom sees the world differently. And what I'm going to end up asking in this beautifully constructed lesson is to say, when you are presenting facts, people look at facts differently. And we have to deal with that. And one of the things that's going on in our world as we yell at each other, when we say it's a fact, it's as if we don't come at those facts with our own, I don't want to say prejudice, it's almost like a negative, our own built-in bias. That bias isn't so great either. With our own built-in way of looking at facts. We look at facts and we do not see the same thing. That's not a problem of right versus left. That's a problem of people. We carry with us.
I want to tell you, it was like the movie I saw, 12 Angry Men. They all came into the jury with different viewpoints, and they couldn't reach a verdict too easily. And Henry Fonda's character was the objective one, while the rest said they're.
Thank you, Eric. I want to come out of this hour with a rehabilitation of the 10 scouts, which I've never done before. And even with all due respect, last night, a rabbi leader presented a very interesting mainstream approach. The 10 lacked courage. The 2 were, we can do it. And I'm going to offer an alternative that all of them went in and experienced the land differently. And they aren't to be faulted for that. They have to be understood for that. The way we look at the world right now, we look at the world with different eyes. And when you yell at somebody and say, isn't it obvious that? It isn't evil thoughts that make us see things differently. It could be evil thoughts. I give that. Yes, it could be. Some people are just ready to be evil. But in most cases, in many cases, people look at the same things and see them differently, not because they want to be different, but because of their life experiences.
Right.
And that was what I want to get out of this. Howard, Steve, Arthur.
Could it be that part of this issue of why is the text talking in binary terms? It says, are there trees or are there no trees? Is it the land good or bad? Instead of saying how many trees are there a lot of trees? Just is the land what's good and what's bad about the land? Could it be that that's how it has to do with the language that's used in the Torah from this particular time period, where you talk about part of something to mean a much bigger thing? Like you say, the Lord came with an outstretched arm. It doesn't mean that the Lord went around doing things. It's a metaphor. So it's just their language. They understood that things are a spectrum.
Okay, but what I picked out of it, Howard, was something different, defining goodness by the presence of trees. In other words, I got an ecological message out of it as well. That a land that has healthy nature.
I agree.
But how much? It could have deserts and forests.
Yeah, how much is a question, and I agree with you. But I had a picture of when you go into the land and you see green and trees, I don't care how many, right? But trees, it's a healthy land. And I look at, well, I don't want to go into environmental issues now, but it is mine. Steve?
So these are a group of leaders, and they're meeting with Moses, who has an agenda. And I agree with you, it was to tell people how worth it is. It seems to me then there's a total failure of leadership, because Moses should be meeting with them. They would develop a plan. They're not the hoi polloi. They know Moses, his connection with God, and how God will take care of everything. It doesn't make sense that this wasn't kind of orchestrated better so that there would be a good report when they returned.
Okay, today is Let's Slam Moses Day. Okay, no, I get it.
I have an idea. We did not look at a lot of grievances from getting out of Egypt. So I think Moses was trying to get the opinion of each in order to have their participation. I was involved in a family budget. I realized that if I asked the kids, you assign how much to put for food or whatever, if they participated, they followed the system. I think one of the reasons that Moses sent these 10, 12 was to get the participation of others.
I love it. I love it. Yes, buy-in, to get the buy-in. There's so much more to do today. For the first time, I wanted to drill down into the story. It's way too much good stuff here. Okay, quickly, so Stacy and then Kevin and I want to run back into the text, please. Stacy?
Rabbi, I just wanted to respond to one of your comments about, the binary choices and how people, take these strident positions, and that we see in today's environment. And in my mind, not only do people have just their own life experience, et cetera, But I think some of that strident response is rooted in fear. They're fearful that someone else has a different opinion that could be valid.
Okay, I'm gonna back off of that. I hear what you're saying. I am going to a really radically different place. I am saying that in our discussions with people, we have to validate we have to validate the fact that people see the same facts differently.
Definitely.
And that is a painful, difficult, mature way. Okay, Kevin.
So in terms of the binary aspect, I think that you need a binary aspect to make everything equal in terms of, is it yes or is it no? And, that way everything's equal. I see going through the negative is, the most common route, I think, would be, sailing or taking the shipping routes, which is probably the most fortified. But going through the negative is the safest for the Israelites to go at that point, going there and coming back. And unfortunately, I do see this as more of like a scouting mission. It makes me think of the story I heard of the children of the Nazis that would, basically come into people's homes and just make maps of where, churches were and different areas were. But in this instance, it was just, a binary aspect. Sorry, that's my comments.
Okay, first of all, I love your shirt. That's totally separate from anything else that you've said. I just was looking at it and I love it. Okay, so forget that I said that, Kevin.
I'm going to the beach shortly with my family. I have family from out of town, so I didn't want to change out of this.
Hey, man, I'm saying I love it. Okay, forget that. I didn't say it. I want you to think about what you just said. And I resonate with what you just said. But I want to offer that is one of the ways in which Jews look at facts. We have those stories built into our DNA. And we can't look at the world without reverberations of the Shoah. Somewhere it's in us. And so when we look at facts, we encounter those facts differently than maybe someone who grew up in North Dakota who has no relationship to what our history is. And that you really nailed it. That's how we encounter facts. We have to, in our conversations, be aware. I'm going to move on, but thank you for that. I want to move to chapter 13. Now I want to go to verse, let's see. When the people, boy, I put this in incorrectly. Are the people fuming? They're good. And then they come back with the statement that the people are Anakim. Anak. They're giants. I have been told by any number of Israeli young kids, Atanak, you're a giant. You're a giant. I don't necessarily view myself as a giant.
I do.
Susie, that makes sense. No, Susie, with all due respect, that makes sense. Now, but Anak or giants are in the eyes of the beholder, right? You are a giant only in comparison. And okay, I'm going to go on to chapter 13, verse 30. This is the great statement that the rabbi leader last night emphasized. Caleb hushed the people. Okay, let's go, just back up a little bit to we came to the land you sent us to, milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people are powerful, the cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the Anakites. Anak in Hebrew is giant. Anakites, the giants. We saw the giants there. So I have to tell you, this was not what Moses sent them to do. Whether it's to smooth the path, to ease the anxieties, this is not the message that Moses wanted. So Caleb, verse 30, and I have trouble with this now because Caleb ben Yefuneh is one of the two. Joshua and Caleb brought back the so-called positive reports, but our son named his dog Caleb. And ever since then, I have trouble reading this passage without thinking of this really great Australian mini shepherd. So I'm trying not to deal with that. Caleb hushed the people. Let's go up. Na'aleh, alone na'aleh, aliyah. Let's go up and we shall gain possession of it. Ki yachol nuchala. Yachol, we can do this. That's what the Hebrew is really saying. Not we shall surely overcome it. Yachol nuchal. Ani yachol. I can do this. We can do this. A very affirmative statement. Okay? Very affirmative. So one could read this in two ways. The usual way is we can do this because we really believe in God, protection, and the whole thing. I'm going to say something else, which I hadn't said before. This was the party line. This was why Moses sent them. This was the message they were supposed to bring back. Tell me about Joshua. Joshua wasn't just one of the folks. He was part of the inner circle. He knew what the message was supposed to be. So Caleb and Joshua bring back the party line. And the others, and I'm gonna, hi Aviva, I'm in class, I have to call you back. I love you. I just hung up on my daughter. Okay.
Wait a minute. There was a clear, Joshua was from a certain tribe and Caleb was a certain tribe. There was a southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. So the northern kingdom didn't survive, but the southern kingdom survived because they were one was from Judah and one from Ephraim. So they were the top dogs.
Look, would you stop being biblically correct? Yes, you are totally correct. That is correct. I'm just saying for the point, Caleb and Joshua, as the story is told, give the party line. The other 10 are reflecting the fact that they were refracting the facts through their own experiences. Which side was right? Which one had the truth? What is the connection between fact and truth? And this brings it out in a way which I had not struggled with before. I see Sukasa. Please go ahead.
Well, we only know who was right by the result. In other words, if they weren't able to conquer the land, the 10 scouts would have been correct. The fact that they did conquer the land, Caleb and Joshua were right.
Okay, I get that. We have a bunch of hands up. I want to do these quickly. Arthur, then Steve, but quickly, please. There's just a bunch of stuff to tear apart. Yes.
Both parties were right. It depends on the objective. One objective is to succeed. The other objective was not to have a hostile situation to fight, to be lazy and have rest. Therefore, both were correct upon their objective.
And Arthur, I want to point out a little bit of tension in here, which has absolutely nothing to do with contemporary Israel, but go in v'yarashta, go in and take ownership. On the other hand,
that's my question.
On the other hand, this is the land promised by God.
Okay.
You're dealing with God is understood to make a promise which can only be fulfilled if the people conquer. And conquering means an acknowledgement that other people lived there and owned there.
That's right.
Had little city-states there. To say that the promised land was delivered to us by God does not reflect historical reality at all. The possession of the land occurred when the people believing in God's promises made those promises happen. You don't see God splitting the heavens and leading the people and giving it to them. However we understand the land became ours when we acted to claim it. And I'm saying this, you know me, as a left-winger who wants Israel to understand that to say, this is the promised land, go away, that's not what the world is like. The land was occupied. The Israelites eventually took possession. Does that mean that we wipe out the history? And I want to say the same thing in the 21st century. Israel is ours. It was a real battle. Did we have a right to be in that battle? Yes. Do we have a right to forget that it was a battle? No. This is a very complicated text. Quickly, Steve, quickly, Mark.
I was also going to say that both sides were right, but for a totally different reason. Wherever your heart is, you develop a self-fulfilling prophecy. So your own belief as to the outcome is a major, major consideration in how successful you will be. So if you don't think you can do it and your heart's not in it, you're right, you're not going to win, but you have to have that ambition and that goal. And if you have it, you can overcome many things, even beyond what objectively you might be able to overcome.
Thank you. Yes, Merle.
I think, to me, ownership implies acceptance. That these people came back and told you what's there. You're going to go in and you have to accept what it is as well as make it yours.
Thank you. I was trying to think carefully, and I'm just saying thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, I see. Okay, Kevin? Kevin, you're muted, I think. Yeah.
Sorry, in the end, they're at the top and they say, here is Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. So we go in with God, and I don't know what size we had or whether we were better or not, but is it because we had God on our side, regardless of whether it was now or then, or I guess in the beginning or the end?
I'm going to just speak privately to you, Kevin. To know that God was on our side in this endeavor is always a retrospective act. We won, and therefore God was on our side.
And the reality approves that. When these days, when they want to refer to Palestine land, they say Greenland. By Greenland, they mean the side that the Israeli occupied and the other side that the Arabs occupied.
Oh.
So the way that we conquered, it was legal and rational.
I am tired of hearing people say the land is ours because God promised it. My theology doesn't encompass that possibility. The value of the Jewish presence in Israel is weighed by what the Jews do with and through Israel. And then we can say retrospectively, this worked out well. I'm sorry, I'm a left-winger on this.
Excuse me, there's no such thing as a free lunch. God was testing us if we were willing to pay a price for occupying the land. So there's no such thing as a free lunch. Everything has a price. So we were tested to see if we were willing to pay the price of conquest and effort.
I am so far behind. Yes, Eric. I'm so
sorry to talk up, but I was listening to Thomas Sowell, and everything he said that requires a price. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Thank you very much for your kindness.
Thank you.
And this is rationality.
Okay, folks, can we hold tight? I am running this show in case anyone wanted to know. I am actually doing a very poor job of it. Do you understand what's happening today? We have taken an old, familiar story and bothered to read it. And it says things not exactly the way we ordinarily encounter it. Which side had the truth Were the 10 false? I don't think so. I think the 10 were seeing the land through their own experiences, their own understanding. They weren't miserable, weak people. They were sent with a mission. And then they got concerned. And I you know, we're so, by the way, one of the interesting things, how long were these scouts in the land? How long?
40 days.
40 days.
And you understand the number 40, how big it is in the Torah, right? 40, big number. And the rabbis will say the 40 days of the scouting led to 40 years in the desert, right? 40, big. How long did Moses live? 120 years.
120.
That's close to 3 times. That's close to 3 times 40, right? It's one of my favorite commentators, the Sfat Emet, condemned the 10 because they did not trust God's description of what is good. And I'm going to have to ask us in this incredible morning, how do we understand what is good? Why is it that we have an automatic default that we know what we're saying when we say this is good? Good is an evaluation that we make, not an objective reality like H2O water. Good is a choice that we make. And we view the world through those choices. When we say that's wrong, that's not the same thing as gravity. We say something is wrong because our experience, our lives, our hopes, our dreams have created an understanding of what is good, what is right, what is wrong. And if ever there is a reason for defending the need for the tradition that Judaism teaches, is that it teaches a system of right and wrong, which I believe works in the world. Do I believe it's the only system? No. But it is a system. And when we argue and debate and encounter and do dialogue with other groups, we have to start with a sense of humility that our understanding of right, wrong is culturally determined. So are the systems that other people offer. We're going to have to stop. Bottom line, all 12 saw the same facts. Truth for us is how we encounter and understand the same set of facts. And that takes from us the right, in so many cases, of being absolutely correct. I don't condemn the 10 any longer. I am trying to understand why they felt that the facts led negatively, and that Caleb and Joshua, they gave Moses the party line that he wanted to hear. I want to spend another 4 hours on this. We're not going to. We're going to go to Kaddish. But thank you for allowing us today to drill down into an all too familiar text, which I have never read before.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your wisdom.
I'm sorry, who said that?
Helen,
Helen,
I didn't hear you. Could you repeat that again?
thank you for your wisdom.
Yeah, I think I could hear that now. Okay.
thank you for helping us understand it all.
No, you know what, folks? Thank you for being the community in which this kind of study is expected. and thank you. Love you. We're now shifting to Kaddish. Those who have passed away, I don't want to stop. Those who have passed away during the past month include Lynn Alston, Jerry Fleischman, Sid Mendel, Karen Mimoun, Paul Nesbitt, Thomas W. Sarnoff. And the following, the anniversaries of whose deaths have occurred during the past week: Shimon Aftaloon, Mai Alberstone, Raymond Alpert, Valentin Almeida, Harold Band, Abraham Barbaro, Mildred Barish, Misha Bellick, Albert Block, Deanne Bloom, Norman Brenzel, Naomi Brennan, Florence Brown, Leonard Cohen, Susan Crane, Frederick Creamer, Max Demoff, Gene Feinstein, Frederick Fenton, Marjorie Swito Fisher, Harriet Freilich, Aaron Friedman, Hanya Freiberg, Joseph Friedman, Dorothy Goldberg, George Goldfein, Donna Ray Goldstein, Evelyn Greenbaum, Susan Greenberg, Anita Greenberg, Howard Greller, Sidney Hirsch, Louis Israels, Marcia Jacobs, Gertrude Justman, Michelle Goldman Kane, Ben Kaplan, Harry Katz, Leslie Klein, Margaret Klein, Nasir Gohanzadeh, Isidore Kornhauser, Jeanette Lampert, Philip Levine, Robert Lewis, Lenore Littman, Yale Lurie, Bess Lustig, Paul Meyer, Susan Martin, Minerva Mendelson, Hadley Miller, Celia Margulin, Ethia Munjak, Meyer Nagy, Jerome Newman, Victor Noodleman, Leo Orston, Rose Osgood, Gary Parks, Gertrude Pollack, Oscar Reese, Milton Rosenfeld, Marcia Rosenoff, Minnie Rubin, Harry Soll, Martin Schatz, Ruth Schiffer, Charlotte Schwarzenberger, Lauren Sermon, Joan Seff, Marcia Siegel, Anna Siegel, Sylvia Shapiro, Herbert Shapiro, Elizabeth Sinaiko, Gertrude Stein, Ann Steinberg, Virginia Shapiro, Lottie Talpis, Leonard Stamper, Adeline Tarko, Benjamin Tarshish, Maury Taylor, George Topis, Florence Tucker, Gildy Teifeld, Beverly Prentice Wagner, Ellen Wallace, Frank Webb, Seymour Webb, Myrna Weinstein, Margaret Weisberg, Rita Weiss, David Wilkes, Michael Zellickson, Sam Zelkowitz. If there are other names to be remembered now, please speak those names aloud or speak them in your hearts.
Daniel Ellsberg.
We bear in mind as well those who died in defense of the United States, those who died in defense of the state of Israel, those who died through senseless acts of terror, those who are dying in the Ukraine right now, those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. We join together. Yitgadal, Vizgadash, V'alma Divra Chirute, V'amlich Malchute. V'chayechon of Yomechon, V'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael. V'azman Koriv, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mavarach, V'olam Li'omei Amaya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach, V'yitba'ar V'yitramam V'yitmaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh V'yitalal, Shmei Dekudusha, V'yichu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata, Trushbachata v'nechata, Tamiran V'alma V'imru Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya, V'chayim, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mamav. Yaseh Shalom. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. May God, who makes peace in the high places, make peace in our hearts, make peace in our homes, make peace in the household of Israel, make peace among all the families and nations of earth. Amen. May we learn to understand the difference between facts and how we understand facts. Love you all. Shabbat shalom. Have a
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat
Shabbat shalom.
Kevin, enjoy the beach.
Thank you, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom to everybody.
Barbara, do we have a movie yet?
Unmute. No, it's canceled today.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Tomorrow, you and Howard and Susan can go on together and whoever else.
Oh, okay. Bye.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Have a wonderful week.